Chapter 21. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After dropping Grandpa's son off, Chu Yang plopped down on a rattan chair in the yard, needing a breather. Even though the red wine wasn't that strong, 3 kilos was enough to knock anyone for a loop. His tipsiness earlier wasn't all an act. Burp. He let out a long burp and felt his eyelids getting heavy in the sea breeze, drifting off to sleep. When he woke up, it was late. Shoot, it's raining. Chu Yang touched the raindrops on his face and looked up. Out at sea, the dark clouds were hanging low, maybe 1,500 feet, and it was clear a downpour was coming. Guess that means no fishing tomorrow. Chu Yang felt a pang of disappointment. He was still riding the high of being a fisherman, but that's the sea for you. Calm one second, a raging storm the next. Even the most seasoned fisherman had to respect its unpredictability. Chu Yang quickly dragged the chair back inside. Just before he could shut the doors and windows, the rain started coming down in buckets, blurring the world outside. The next morning, Chu Yang woke up. The rain had stopped, but the sea breeze was whipping, kicking up waves 6 to 9 feet high. Breakfast, bro. She had made white rice porridge again, with radish strips and some peanuts left over from yesterday. Chu Yang slurped down a bowl in a flash and went to the doorway for a smoke. At the same time, he got his daily treasure chest notification. Congrats. You've won a silver treasure chest. Location updated. Go claim it. A silver treasure chest, no less. But when he checked the location, it was out at sea, 30 or 40 nautical miles from Falling Sun Island. Crap. Man, I need a real boat. It wasn't the first time Chu Yang had this thought. Ever since he saw Sun Qingjuan's skiff, he'd been itching to get his own, but he didn't want some little dinghy, and a big boat was still out of his price range. Now it seemed like getting a boat was a must. What would be inside the silver treasure chest, especially one floating out on the ocean? Bluefin tuna. Yellow croaker. Giant grouper. Whatever it was, it had to be worth a fortune. Thinking about it made Chu Yang feel like his heart was bleeding, even worse than when he'd impulsively paid for everything in his past life. Okay, gotta get a boat. Chu Yang grabbed his phone and started searching, but he couldn't find what he was looking for. The internet was way less developed than he remembered, but the Baidu ads were relentless. Every other webpage was a spam ad for some back alley clinic, run AI hospital, Shuguang Hospital, Maria Women's Hospital, miracle cures for everything. He quickly shut off his phone. Another second, and Chu Yang was pretty sure he'd lose it. Looks like I gotta ask around. Chu Yang grabbed a carton of Mengyo yogurt and headed over to Sun Qingjuan's place. Thanks to the popularity of Supergirl, Mengyo, the sponsor, was raking in the dough. With Zhang Hunyuan's catchy slogan, "Sour and sweet is me," every kid had to have a bottle of that yogurt. At Sun Qingjuan's gate, Chu Yang saw a little boy, maybe 11 or 12, sprawled on the stone table in the yard, drool practically soaking his book of Tang poems. "Hey, Ong." Chu Yang called out. He remembered Sun Qingjuan's youngest son was named Sun Xiang. The kid snapped his head up like a deer. "Who's calling me?" "It's me, Chu Yang, your dad's friend." "Where's your dad?" Sun Xiang relaxed a bit, seeing he wasn't a stranger. "Dad, someone's here to see you." He yelled into the house, then grabbed his book of poems and went back to reciting with his head bobbing. The sun is high in the sky, and sweat drips on the soil under the wheat. Soon, Sun Qingjun came out, wearing a blue jacket with twins, China's #1 pig feed brand emblazoned on it. "Hey, Yang, what brings you here?" Come on in, come on in." Sun Qingjun ushered Chu Yang inside. Spotting the yogurt, he scolded him good-naturedly, "You're visiting, no need to bring a thing." Chu Yang grinned. "First time visiting, can't come empty-handed." Brought a carton of yogurt for the kids to enjoy. "It's nothing." Sun Qingjun took the milk and pulled up a stool. "Sit down, I'll go wash my hands, I was just feeding the pigs." Chu Yang sat and waited. When Sun Qingjun reappeared, he'd changed out of his overalls and washed up. "Here, have some tea." Chu Yang took a sip from the paper cup. It smelled pretty good, so he said, "This is good stuff." Sun Qingjun chuckled. It's nothing special. I make it myself. You can take a couple pounds home with you later. Uncle, you're a jack of all trades. You fish, raise pigs, make tea. No wonder you're doing well. Chu Yang said sincerely. Sun Qingjun waved his hand modestly. Just messing around. Just something I drink at home. So, what brings you by today? Seeing Sun Qingjun bring it up, Chu Yang explained his plan to get a fishing boat. If you're planning on staying on the island, you'll need a boat. Sun Qingjun nodded. But you want a boat over 12 meters, there probably isn't one here in town. You'd have to go to a professional shipyard in the city. Boats over 12 meters were considered medium-sized ocean fishing boats. They could go out to the near sea and work overnight. The technical requirements were much higher, which smaller workshops wouldn't be able to handle. Well, the weather is bad these couple days so we can't go out on the sea. I'll come with you to the city tomorrow, and check things out. Chu Yang didn't stand on ceremony. I appreciate that, uncle. No problem. Sun Qingjun waved his hand. After settling the details, Chu Yang got up to leave. Sun Qingjun went back inside and grabbed 2 pounds of tea, wrapped it in newspaper, and pressed it into Chu Yang's hands. Take it, and come back to me after you finish drinking it. Then I won't be polite. As he was leaving, Chu Yang saw Sun Xiang was still reciting poems, but he kept repeating the same 2 lines, hoeing the field at noon, sweat dripping on the soil under the field. He couldn't resist a little mischief. Uncle Qingjun, Xiang is so diligent. He's been reciting that poem for half an hour straight. With that reminder, Sun Qingjun's face changed. He grabbed a feather duster from the windowsill and marched over to Sun Xiang. So, I told you to study, and here you are slacking off. Guess you're asking for it. Before Chu Yang could get far, he heard the sound of a good old-fashioned spanking. Whack. Ah. It's not fair, Dad. Whack, whack. Dad, I was wrong. Whack, whack, whack. Hit me harder, I want yogurt after this. Whack 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 whack. I'll give you yogurt, I'll give you all the yogurt you want, whack 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 whack. Arg. Sorry Lang, Chu Yang, you jerk. Chapter 22. You are listening at novelfull.audio. We're just regular folks, but man, am I happy today. Humming a tune, Chu Yang strolled down the dirt road in the fishing village, stuck without a boat and lousy cell service. He was just killing time, wandering around the place. Before he knew it, he'd moseyed on down to the south end of the village. Up here near the hills, the soil was too poor for most crops, so folks just grew cassava for flour. That's when he spotted a familiar, curvy figure in the cassava patch, bent over, weeding. Watching those pants stretch tight, Chu Yang suddenly felt a little stirred. That's weird. Back in the day, even when he was tangled up with those leggy babes, he wasn't always this enthusiastic. Maybe this body's just been too long without action. Hey, Chu Yang, what are you doing here? A bright little voice snapped him out of it. Chu Yang blinked, and suddenly there was Haidai, right in front of him. She's so short, I didn't even see her behind the cassava stalks, he thought. Just wandering around, bored. Haidai, helping your mom out, huh? Chu Yang ruffled Haidai's hair. Yup. Pulling weeds. Look, Haidai proudly pointed to a little pile of weeds. Awesome. You deserve a treat. Chu Yang pulled a few nougat candies from his pocket, ripped off the wrappers, and popped them into Haidai's mouth. Yummy. Little Haidai's eyes turned into happy little crescents. Over in the cassava field, Shijuan noticed the commotion and straightened up. Seeing her daughter happily munching candy, she said, a bit embarrassed, Chu Yang, you're spoiling her. Nah, it's just a couple of candies. Hey, sister you got a lot of cassava here. Can you handle it all by yourself? Chu Yang changed the subject. I'll manage. Gotta take your time with the land. Shijuan smiled, leaning on her hoe. She's got that natural beauty, even that awkward pose is kinda cute, he thought. If it's too much, hire someone to help, Chu Yang suggested. Hire someone? I'd rather let it go to seed. Shijuan gave him a look like he was a total idiot, and Chu Yang realized he'd stepped in it. Right, cassava flour barely breaks even. Hiring someone to plant it would cost a fortune. You'd lose your shirt. Ahem. Right. Well, sister you get back to it. I just remembered I gotta run. Got stuff to do back home. Chu Yang beat a hasty retreat. Talk about embarrassing. Next time, he'd keep his mouth shut about stuff he didn't know. Leaving the cassava field, he passed a 2-story house. Shijuan's place. Her family used to be doing alright, actually. Her husband was a hard worker, her in-laws were still young and they all got an 8-meter boat to go out to sea. Not long after, they built a red brick building in the village. Back then, they were the envy of the town, but then came that storm, and their boat capsized with her husband and parents-in-law aboard. Now it was just her and Haidai. It was inevitable that their lives would gradually decline. Now there is only this 2-story bungalow left. Stories like Shijuan's were pretty common in fishing villages. Wasn't Chu Yang's own family the same? Even though going out to sea was tough and risky, it paid way better than working the land. Building a brick house in 5 years wasn't a pipe dream. If nothing went wrong, that is. Chu Yang wandered around to the south end of the island, near the mountain. This side was cleaner than the north shore. A golden beach stretched out for over half a mile, a beautiful, natural beach, but for the fishermen, this beach, good only for worthless stuff like clams, fiddler crabs, hermit crabs, and sandworms, was worth a lot less than the mudflats on the north shore. But Chu Yang saw something more in this beach. He bent down, grabbed a handful of sand, and let it sift through his fingers. A natural beach this nice? You could build it up, plant some coconut trees, get some beach volleyball going, add some water sports. This could be a gold mine. Back in the day, he knew a rich kid who worked in the tourism industry, specializing in big entertainment projects. Chu Yang remembered him bragging that water-themed parks were the real moneymakers. The cost of acquiring land alone is hundreds of streets ahead of traditional amusement parks. Of course, those who are grabbing land under the guise of theme parks are excluded. Other things, like water and beaches, have very low costs, just maintenance costs, plus, the profit potential was huge. Besides the usual stuff like food, rentals, and tickets, you could do boat rentals, diving, fishing trips, jet skis. That was where the real money was. Young people were all over that stuff. After all, when you go out to play, would you rather ride a roller coaster with your fat roommate or let a bikini girl hug you and drive a motorboat? Once I'm on my feet, I could really develop this place. He only had a few $100,000 in his pocket, but Chu Yang was thinking big. Besides, he was a hacker. Who was he afraid of? He'd been wandering all morning, and it was almost noon, so Chu Yang headed home for lunch. In the little square by the village entrance, he saw Yuan Hang, bossing around 2 other little boys, chasing a skinny little girl. Little Tank was pulling the girl's ponytail, not even noticing he was pulling her back, and grinning like a maniac, but the girl surprised Chu Yang. She wasn't crying or begging, she was just glaring at Little Tank, like a wounded animal. Hey! What do you think you're doing, you little punks? Looking for trouble? Chu Yang wasn't gonna stand for that. He roared, and Little Tank froze. The other 2 little hooligans stopped in their tracks too, faces pale, too scared to run. When Chu Yang showed his power that day, he and his brother were both there. That magical kick, like a fairy from outer space, left an indelible mark of the road in the hearts of the little arms. This is not an ordinary person, he really beats children. Get out of here. That even though it was a scolding, it sounded like fairy music to the little arms. After getting the permission of the big devil, they ran away. Thank you. The little girl mumbled, head down. No problem. Chu Yang reached out to pat her head, but she flinched back, like she was scared. Well, go home and eat. Your family's probably worried. Chu Yang scratched his nose, feeling awkward, and pulled his hand back. Okay. The little girl glanced up at Chu Yang, then turned and ran off. That girl's a little standoffish. But who is she? I don't remember seeing her before. Whatever. Chu Yang shrugged, they were in the same village, after all. He'd get to know her eventually. Chapter 23. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When I got home, She had already made lunch, stir-fried beef with green peppers, spicy snails, and a cold wakame and jellyfish salad with shredded cucumbers. There was some of the red wine Grandpa's son had brought over yesterday, so Chu Yang poured himself half a cup. He ate a peanut, took a sip of wine, sucked on a spicy snail, and took another sip, totally relaxing. Just as he was enjoying himself, he heard footsteps in the yard. Looking out the window, Chu Yang's good mood vanished. What do you want? Didn't we agree you're not tearing down my house? Outside, Xiong de Kue, who had started to enter, hesitated and then smiled. Yang, the secretary, and I are here to bring you good news. He Baogua, walking behind him, didn't bother with pleasantries and went straight into the living room. He glanced at the dishes on the table, silently thinking, what a spendthrift. Two people eating 4 dishes, with no regard for their financial situation, just because he made a little money out at sea. He thinks he's hot stuff. He'll blow through that money soon enough. Ahem, Xiaoyang, he Baogua said, putting his hands behind his back, clearing his throat, and trying to sound important. Your uncle's here with good news. Wanna hear it? No. Chu Yang replied immediately. He Baogua's face froze. He looked like he had something stuck in his throat. Kids today have no respect, even college students. No respect for their elders, Chu Yang thought. Respect is earned. The atmosphere became awkward. Xiong de Kue spoke up to break the silence. Chu Yang, I know we've had our differences, but I'm here because I really do have good news for you. Learning from He Baogua's mistake, he didn't drag things out. He pulled out a brand new agreement and put it on the table. Didn't you think the demolition price was too low last time? After the secretary and I worked hard, we got you a new agreement. Why don't you take a look? Chu Yang picked up the agreement and scanned it. To be fair, this compensation package was better than the previous one. At least it included outbuildings like the water pump, fish pond, and wash basin, but the main point, the price per square foot of the house itself, was still just barely over 1,000. The total was a little over $380,000, not even $400,000. So this is what you call progress? Chu Yang said sarcastically. That's some serious effort there. Chu Yang, watch your mouth. You don't seem to respect me, the party secretary. He Baogua finally lost his cool, slammed the table, and yelled. Chu Yang wasn't intimidated. He just looked at him, surprised. How could this guy be so blind? Do you have any sense of community? Are you even part of Natudu anymore? The village needs your house. It's not just for you, it's for the good of the whole village. Have you thought about how many villagers will benefit from the new factory? He Baogua's bribe attempt failed, so he switched tactics, trying to guilt-trip Chu Yang. Most Chinese people are still pretty honest and have a strong sense of community. Guilt-tripping often works, and He Baogua was ready to use it, but he didn't realize that Chu Yang was a soul for more than a decade in the future. After growing up on the internet, was he going to be scared by He Baogua? You can't guilt-trip someone who has no shame. So what? Chu Yang asked flatly. So. He Baogua sputtered, unsure how to continue. He just stared at Chu Yang, his face getting redder. Was he about to have a stroke? Chu Yang chuckled. This was all he had. Weak. Enough. I'm not demolishing this house. I've decided to move back here permanently. Tell the developer to find another location. No way was he going to sacrifice his own interests for the sake of the villagers, especially when that sacrifice might end up benefiting someone like Lu Tsuexian. The thought made Chu Yang even more determined. Fine. He Baogua said angrily. Looks like I'm not getting anywhere with you. You think you can just decide not to demolish? Think again. Chu Yang was calm, almost amused. Oh, really? That line again. He Baogua felt his chest tighten, his temples throb, and his vision blur. I'm not getting angry. I'm not arguing with this kid. After struggling, Hibagwa finally got his blood pressure back under control. I'm telling you, this house is coming down whether you like it or not. I'm giving you 3 days to sign the agreement and move out. Otherwise, don't blame me for what happens. He turned and left, not giving Chu Yang a chance to reply. The old guy's getting smarter. He didn't even give me a good insult before he left. Chu Yang smirked. Hey, why all the anger? Can't we just sit down and talk this over? Xiong de Kuei said insincerely. Seeing that Chu Yang wasn't listening, he also left. Brother. She came out of the kitchen. She had been hiding in the kitchen while Hibagwa was there, listening to everything. Chu Yang stroked her hair and smiled. Don't worry. A small-time village party secretary isn't worth my time. Brother, Dad's also running for village party secretary, but he hasn't been elected yet, she said softly. Chu Yang stopped talking. It's okay, don't worry. Yeah. She nodded, resting her face in her brother's palm. It doesn't matter as long as I'm with you. Hibagwa had ruined Chu Yang's appetite. He only ate 2.5 bowls of rice before putting down his chopsticks. He didn't feel like going out, so he stayed home and slept until sunset. When he woke up, the moon was already out. Ugh, ah. Chu Yang stretched, he felt completely rested. He grabbed his phone and checked the time. Wow, it's already 12:30. That's why. Too late to get up now. He'd just go back to sleep. He still needed to claim his treasure chest, though. Chu Yang was getting addicted to opening them. Congratulations. You've won a black iron treasure chest. The treasure chest location has been refreshed. Please go and claim it. Another black iron treasure chest, refreshed in the ocean. Damn it. This system sucks. Chu Yang cursed. What was with his luck these past few days? Did he forget to wash his hands after using the bathroom? Wait a minute. Chu Yang suddenly noticed something. Hold on, why are there 2 light spots on the map? Chu Yang rubbed his eyes, excited after making sure he wasn't seeing things. So, the treasure chest stays there until you open it. The system is awesome. System, you're like a dog, changing your attitude so fast. Chapter 24. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After realizing the treasure chests wouldn't magically reappear, Chu Yang's worries vanished. He'd been afraid his luck source, Tongzi, might glitch and spawn a chest full of gold and diamonds 1,000 miles out at sea, leaving him high and dry, but it seemed Tongzi wasn't so cruel. Now, he could draw a prize every day, stash the chest somewhere safe, and then open them all at once when the weather was nice. The more he thought about it, the more pumped he got. He was so wired, he couldn't sleep. He started mapping out his future business empire in his head. Gotta set a small goal, make 100 mil first. Then get into seafood tourism and dominate the industry within 10 years. Next, crush the competition, wipe out the Koreans and Japanese, and take over the US and Canadian markets. Finally, invest in spaceships, build interstellar fishing vessels, break free from the solar system, the Milky Way, the whole damn universe. After dreaming big for a couple of hours, Chu Yang finally drifted off to sleep with a smile on his face. The next morning, Chu woke him up. Bro, Uncle Qingjuan's here. He wants to go to the city with you today. Chu Yang shot out of bed, got dressed in record time, and threw open the door. Sun Qingjun was sitting on a wicker chair, sipping tea. He saw Chu Yang, hair a mess, and chuckled. What were you doing all night? Fishermen usually hit the sack by 8 and wake up at 3. If you slept past 6, people would talk. Being that lazy would ruin you in no time. Mosquitoes kept me up, Chu Yang stammered. He couldn't tell Sun Qingjun he was too hyped to sleep half the night. Uncle, wait a sec, gotta wash up quick. Chu Yang headed for the yard. Still early, only 7. They'd agreed to meet at 7:30, but he always showed up early. Chu Yang was a blur of motion. He dunked his head under the water pump, scrubbed with a towel, and attacked his teeth with a toothbrush, spitting out white foam. In under 2 minutes, he was back, looking like a new man. "Let's go." "Whoa, you're fast, but I bet your face is still wet," Sun Qingjun teased. Chu Yang shrugged it off. "Details, details. Let's roll." "Huh?" Sun Qingjun looked confused. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, just let's get moving." "Okay." At the dock, Chu Yang untied the rope while Sun Qingjun cranked the engine. Vroom, vroom, vroom. The motor roared, and the sampan sliced through the water. They reached Mailin port at 8 a.m., even though they weren't selling fish, they still docked at the fishing pier. It was cheaper, $5 for the morning, 10 for the day. The cruise terminal charged $10 an hour. Saving money's the way to go. After paying up, Sun Qingjun led Chu Yang out of the port. "How much further?" Chu Yang grabbed him. "You aren't planning to walk, are you?" "Not far, 3 or 4 miles. We'll be there in a jiffy," Sun Qingjun said casually. 3 or 4 miles was not far. Chu Yang almost choked. Back in his old life, the heaviest thing he carried was a thigh-wearing Valentino. Things weren't that bad here, he could afford a ride. "Taxis are expensive." "We can walk it," Sun Qingjun grumbled. If there wasn't public transport to a place, he'd probably refuse to go. The taxi's meter started at 6 yuan, and 3 miles would cost 12, more than parking the boat all day. "Chill, I'm not taking a cab. A motorcycle taxi's fine." Chu Yang pulled out his phone, found Zhang Hongtao's number, and dialed. He explained what he needed, and Zhang Hongtao said he was already picking up passengers nearby. He'd be there soon. A motorcycle taxi guy in a pink floral shirt zoomed up on a Daiyin motorcycle. "Hop in, handsome." Chu Yang smirked at Sun Qingjun. "Uncle Qingjun, you go first." He didn't want to be stuck in the middle. Sun Qingjun climbed on without a second thought. Chu Yang sat in the back, gripping the luggage rack. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Zhang Hongtao revved the engine, popped the clutch, and the motorcycle shot forward. "Hey, buddy in the middle, hold on tight. You're squishing me. And don't grab my waist," he yelled. Sun Qingjun shuffled back and awkwardly let go of Zhang Hongtao's waist. "Well, you took off like a rocket," he retorted. Chu Yang nearly lost it. He silently thanked himself for his quick thinking. He would have been the meat in that sandwich. At their destination, Sun Qingjun scrambled off the bike. Zhang Hongtao was adjusting his pants, muttering about braking too hard. Chu Yang ignored them and headed inside. This was a port industrial park on Shenzhen-Shanghai Bay, packed with shipbuilding and parts factories, big and small, including the famous Quanzhou shipyard. That shipyard was one of the best in Asia, with 2 100,000-ton docks, later upgraded with 2 new 300,000-ton ones. Everyone knew that once a dock hit 100,000 tons, it could build aircraft carriers. In a country known for pulling together, those giant docks meant building giant ships during peacetime, and churning out aircraft carriers during war. But Chu Yang wasn't interested in that today. He was after a medium-sized shipyard called Yongqing Shipyard. The security guard called ahead when he heard why they were there. Soon, a pot-bellied man greeted them. "I'm Mr. Huang, manager of Yongqing Shipyard." Manager Huang was super polite. He led them to the reception room, told the receptionist to make tea, passed around cigarettes, and asked with a smile, "What kind of ship are you looking for? Any specific needs? Tell me, and I can recommend some options." Chu Yang had done his homework. He wasn't nervous at all. "I want a boat about 18 meters long, preferably aluminum alloy. It needs trawl nets and longline fishing gear." As Chu Yang ticked off his list, Manager Huang's smile widened. He didn't mind extra requests. More equipment meant a higher price tag. When Chu Yang finished, Manager Huang had already smoked half a cigarette. He quickly lit another for him. "Mr. Chu, I've noted everything. One moment, and I'll calculate the price." He grabbed a calculator and started punching numbers. Clear, clear, clear. After 5 minutes, Manager Huang slid the calculator to Chu Yang. "Mr. Chu, thanks for waiting. Here's our quote. Take a look." Chu Yang glanced at it, and the cigarette almost fell out of his mouth. 486,800, almost $500,000. That's nuts. See ya. Chapter 25. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chu Yang knew Sun Qingjuan's 7-meter sampan cost just over 30 grand. He figured an 18-meter boat would be, at most, 5 times that price, 200 grand, tops. Turns out, it was more than double what he expected. Mr. Chu, it doesn't work like that. Double the boat's length, and you more than double the material requirements. Then there's all the gear, fishing equipment, refrigeration, power, the steering. Big stuff. And, as you want, this trawler needs a longline fishing machine and a mainline release. That setup alone is 30 grand. Skip it, and you can have it for 450. Manager Huang ticked off the items, explaining. I get it, but I've only got 100 grand right now, Chu Yang said, holding up his hands. Okay. We can look at other options. A 12-meter single trawler's plenty for offshore. Cheaper, too. Manager Huang eyed the half-pack of cigarettes, wondering if he should pocket it, but Chu Yang was already on it, pulling out 3 and handing them around. He offered one to Manager Huang. Here, let's talk while we smoke. No rush. Manager Huang, easy for you to say, he thought. You're smoking name brand smokes and sipping fancy tea. All you need is a foot massage, he kept that thought to himself. Too rude to say it out loud. A 12-meter single trawler is just over 150 grand. Brother Chu, you could put 100 down, then borrow 50. Our shipyard works with a bunch of banks, we can make introductions, Manager Huang suggested. Chu Yang stroked his chin, thinking. Nah, I still want the 18-meter. Manager Huang, don't get mad, taking a couple of deep breaths, Manager Huang considered it. Okay, so you gotta borrow more. A straight loan won't cut it. You got anything valuable to put up, Chu Yang said, there's a yard in the country, on the island. 4,000 or 5,000 square feet. On the island? What's that? Manager Huang was about to dismiss the property, but Sun Qingjun chimed in. They want to tear down his yard to build a processing plant. Hearing that, Manager Huang perked up. Boss Chu, my bad. Turns out you're about to get a payday. No wonder you're so sharp, you can tell. But he turned it down, Sun Qingjun added. Manager Huang, he wanted to yell at Sun Qingjun, can you finish a sentence? After this emotional roller coaster, Manager Huang was starting to get used to it. Well. I could help you find a private lender, but the interest rate'll be killer. Before Chu Yang could answer, Sun Qingjun cut in. That won't work. You'll lose everything before you even get the boat. He shook his head, warning Chu Yang against a crazy loan. Chu Yang wasn't that dumb. After hearing Manager Huang's numbers, he knew buying was off the table, at least for now, but renting, that was an idea. Manager Huang, do you rent boats? What's the rate on a fishing boat that fits my needs? Rent a boat, Manager Huang beamed. Renting was good. Not as profitable as a sale, but it meant steady income. Mr. Chu, you're thinking smart. Rent one, make some money, then buy your own. Manager Huang said with a smile. I think we got one that's perfect for you. A 16-meter single trawler, launched 2 years ago. Range is 3,100 miles. The owner won the lottery, moved to Miami, and asked us to rent it out. Chu Yang was hooked. What are we waiting for? Let's see it. Right this way. Manager Huang led them to the dock. There, Chu Yang laid eyes on Manager Huang's perfect boat. This is it. You're kidding, right? Even a landlubber like Chu Yang could see the problems, rust streaks on the side, anti-slip paint peeling, and even cracks in the fireproofing inside. Ahem, okay, it needs some work, but the bones are good. Manager Huang, facing Chu Yang's skepticism, was a little embarrassed. The boat had been sitting for months, and he hadn't checked on it. Who knew it was in this shape? Mr. Chu, I'll cut you a deal. 16 grand a month. You won't find a better price. Chu Yang hesitated, looking to Sun Qingjun. Sun Qingjun stayed quiet. Chu Yang got the message. Manager Huang, let's hold off on the price. I'll think about it and get back to you. Sure, but don't wait too long. This bargain could be gone tomorrow. After leaving Yongsheng, they checked out other shipyards, but it was the same story. To buy a ship to Chu Yang's liking, they'd need a loan shark. Another place rented boats, but it was even less appealing. 15 grand a month for a 13-meter boat, and they'd have to install the trawling gear themselves for another 40 or 50 grand. Yang, maybe you should wait a while, Sun Qingjun suggested. Buying on credit or renting didn't make sense. Better to start small and upgrade later, sound advice for most people, but not Chu Yang. With Tongzi on his side, the market couldn't be bad. Nah, waiting is for suckers. I don't have time. Chu Yang stood on the road, pumped. Sun Qingjun and Zhang Hongtao exchanged glances. Waiting is for suckers. You'll be in a box before you know it. Chu Yang, these hicks are too crude, determined. Chu Yang headed back to Yongsheng shipyard. Manager Huang saw them coming, figuring he'd close the deal, and his smile was brighter than ever. Manager Huang, we'll rent that boat. Give me your best price. Mr. Chu, that really is the best price. I'm sure you understand the market. After haggling until his throat was raw, with Zhang Hongtao jumping in to help, they finally got the monthly rent down by 500, and a commitment for some major maintenance. Chapter 26. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After signing the lease, Chu Yang paid the first month's rent of 15,500 yuan. Congrats on the new boat, Mr. Chu. Manager Huang said, shaking his hand with a smile. Thanks, same to you. Chu Yang was stoked. He'd be setting sail in a week. Listen, Mr. Chu, now that you've got the boat, you'll want to get out to sea ASAP. While it's in maintenance, your priority is to find a crew. Manager Huang reminded them as they were leaving. He was rooting for Chu Yang to make a killing. Whether he kept renting or eventually bought a boat, Huang would earn a commission. Appreciate the heads up. Chu Yang had already thought this through. Typically, a 16-meter trawler runs best with a crew of 4 to 6, you need a captain, plus 2 or 3 sailors, depending. Sun Qingjun had a third-level captain's license, good for boats under 24 meters. They'd already agreed he'd help Chu Yang skipper the boat, that just left finding sailors, easy enough. Quanqing had been a major fishing hub forever, a trade center back in the day. Tons of people here made their living off the sea. Throw enough money around, you could hire hundreds of experienced sailors in a day, but Chu Yang was more concerned with character than just experience. He had a secret weapon. One good trip and he could make more than most people earn in a lifetime. He couldn't risk hiring someone shady. He felt good about Sun Qingjun, though. He'd gotten to know him, and trusted him. Uncle Qingjun, you know any good sailors? Decent guys? Chu Yang asked. Finding sailors isn't the hard part. Just walk around the village, you'll find old fishermen who charge at least 80, if not 100. I'll ask around when we get back. Sounds good. After leaving the industrial park, Zhang Hongtao gave Chu Yang a ride back to the port on his motorcycle. Chu Yang checked the time. It was already 11:30. Hey, don't take off, brother Zhang. Let's grab some lunch, he said. Zhang Hongtao didn't hesitate. All right. You landed a big one today. Calls for a celebration. They found a restaurant called Seaport Fishing Village nearby. It was a pretty fancy place, 2 stories and covering over 2,000 square feet. A real splurge for the port. The menu confirmed it. Boiled shrimp, $99. Sea urchin steamed eggs, $68. Steamed grouper, $3.98. Loofah and razor clam soup, $88. Chu Yang casually ordered 3 dishes and a soup, racking up 600 or 700 yuan. That's half a month's pay for the average Joe. Whoa, that's enough. Sun Jun said quickly. He would have been perfectly happy with a barbecue for 100 or two at the food stall next door. Eating at a place like this felt like getting robbed. Even Zhang Hongtao was looking at Chu Yang differently. He'd seen rich folks before, the kind who dropped tens of thousands on a meal, but Chu Yang didn't seem like that. He'd even said at the shipyard that he had just over 100,000 to his name. And he still had to pay the rent, hire a crew, and stock the boat. How could he spend like a big shot? Okay, no more food. Waiter, bring us 2 bottles of Kinmen Kaoyang, the 53 proof. Chu Yang ordered the wine and called it good. The drinks and food arrived quickly. They'd all been running around all morning and were starving, so they dug in. No question, the chefs here knew their stuff. The shrimp were sweet and fresh, the eggs were tender, the grouper was amazing, and the clam soup was rich. Worth every penny. Once they were halfway full, they raised their glasses. Brother, cheers. Wishing you smooth sailing and piles of cash. Zhang Hongtao wasn't the most educated guy, but he was a community leader and knew how to talk the talk. I'll drink to that. Chu Yang tossed one back. After a couple of ounces of liquor, Chu Yang let out a satisfying sigh. Nice. Kinmen Kaoyang is called Kinmen Kaoyang, but it's actually from Taiwan. It's got a different flavor than traditional mainland liquor, a light fragrance similar to Finjio, but with a more pronounced dregs taste. It's easy to drink, and you won't feel sick if you have too much. It goes for anywhere from $10 to a few hundred, and it's popular in southern Fujian. After a while, Zhang Hongtao, a little red-faced, said. Hey, you're throwing money around like crazy. You'll be eating ramen noodles for the next few days after this meal. Is it the end of the world? Chu Yang knew he was trying to be nice, so he smiled. No big deal. It's just one trip to the beach. Stop bragging, fishing isn't that profitable, Zhang Hongtao said, a little tipsy. Chu Yang was a little buzzed himself. Don't believe me? Ask Uncle Jun. He knows. Zhang Hongtao looked at Sun Jun, who nodded. The last time Yang went out, he pulled up 400 pounds of goose barnacles in a few hours and sold them for over $20,000. Whoa, Zhang Hongtao's jaw dropped. A few hours, 20 grand. He busted his butt for 6 months to make that kind of money. Last time he went out with me, he caught a grouper and sold it for 68,000, Sun Jun added, wanting to really twist the knife. Zhang Hongtao's mouth was hanging open. He almost forgot to pour his wine, his throat felt a little dry, and he swallowed hard. I've been hearing people talk about some lucky guy who caught a live grouper the other day. That was you? Chu Yang just smiled and took a sip of wine. He was leveling up in the art of humble bragging. Man, you're making me want to be a fisherman, Zhang Hongtao panted, clearly stoked, nearly 100 grand in 2 trips. That wasn't making money, that was finding it lying on the beach. Compared to that, what was the point of scraping by driving a motorcycle every month? Alright, think about it. If you're serious, you can count on me when the boat comes out of maintenance next week. Chu Yang was planning to recruit him all along. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said anything. He didn't have much time here and didn't know many people. He'd asked Sun Jun to find a crew, but he also wanted to build his own team. Really? Zhang Hongtao thought Chu Yang was joking, but seeing he was serious, he was moved, but he was a little worried, afraid Chu Yang was just full of it and he'd end up wasting his time and money. Sun Jun started to say something, then stopped. Forget it. Chu Yang's the boss, let him do what he wants. Besides, fishing isn't exactly rocket science. The old fishermen are just good from practice. A couple of trips out, and he'll pick it up. Okay, I'll think about it. With that in mind, Zhang Hongtao wasn't as relaxed as before, and was only thinking about making money. Halfway through the meal, a girl brought 2 dishes of appetizers, a dish of peanuts and a stack of mixed kelp. Hey guys, these are on the house, to go with your drinks. Chu Yang looked up, surprised. The girl was maybe 20 years old, with smooth black hair, curved eyebrows, a straight nose, and 2 shallow dimples at the corners of her mouth, but the most eye-catching thing was her chest under the light yellow chiffon skirt, and a pair of long, healthy legs under the skirt. the waitresses here are definitely something else. Chapter 27. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thanks, Chu Yang said, giving her a second glance before looking away. Zhang Hongtao was even worse, practically drooling, staring like a pig, but Sun Qingjun, usually so rough, acted like a shy virgin, barely daring to look at her. Of course, Chu Yang still caught him sneaking glances now and then. This girl's got something. Star. Mr. Chu, right? I couldn't help but overhear. Are you the fisherman who caught that giant grouper a few days ago? That the girl didn't seem bothered by the staring, probably used to it. She was a little surprised Chu Yang looked away so quickly. She knew she was attractive. Even seasoned big shots were usually captivated and wanted her, but this guy seemed almost innocent, just admiring her without any real desire. She found it intriguing. Chu Yang couldn't read minds, but he had a pretty good idea. Women. Master Chu knew a thing or two about charming women without getting serious. He had a reputation back in the day. Sure, this girl was pretty, but it wasn't that easy to sweep him off his feet. His ex-wife was just as beautiful, and did that stop him from loving variety? Nope. Well, he said, if nobody else has caught one since then, you're probably talking about me. Lots of people saw him selling the grouper, so no point in being coy. Wow, impressive. She looked at Chu Yang with renewed interest, then handed him a business card with a hint of gardenia scent. Let me introduce myself. I'm Caillou. My family owns this restaurant. If you catch any more good fish, give me a call. I promise the price will be as good as, or better than, the dock. Now Chu Yang understood. He wondered how they could afford such an attractive waitress. This place must be top tier. Turns out it's a family business. No wonder. Sounds good. He wasn't about to turn down a pretty girl offering her number. Besides, he needed to build connections. He couldn't just sell everything to buy pengfei. Cutting out the middleman and dealing directly with restaurants would be much more profitable. After exchanging contact info, Caillou said goodbye and left. Zhang Hongtao followed her with his eyes until she disappeared around the corner, then turned back to Chu Yang, sounding jealous. Lucky guys like you, getting girls' numbers handed to you. I think she wants fish, not me, buddy. Chu Yang chuckled. She probably figures I can supply her family with high-end seafood. Zhang Hongtao said, still, being a fisherman has its perks. Makes me want to try it even more. He slammed his hand on the table. I'm in. Let's do it together. Chu Yang hadn't expected that. He and Zhang Hongtao clinked glasses 3 times in celebration. After dinner, they went to pay. The total came to 855 yuan, and Caillou told the cashier to round it down. Just 800, she said. Chu Yang was happy to save a little. Thanks. Next time we're out on the water, I'll take you fishing. Deal, Caillou said with a smile. Leaving the harbor fishing village, Zhang Hongtao offered them a ride back to the dock on his motorcycle. No thanks, you've had a few. It's not far. We'll walk. Even though there weren't any DUI checkpoints, Chu Yang didn't want to risk it. He'd been given a second chance at life, no point in getting taken out by Zhang Hongtao. Alright, I'll let you know when I get to the city in a couple days. Before he could say anything more, Chu Yang turned and left. Bro, at the Nyoto ferry wharf, Chu Yang saw Chu Shi running towards him, arms outstretched like a little airplane, with Haidai trailing behind. Bro, you're so late. I missed you. Chu Shi said, hands on her hips. Chu Yang picked her up and playfully rubbed his stubbly chin against her cheek. Missed me? Or missed the snacks I brought? No. Bro. Stop Pit. Tickles. Haidai watched the siblings with envy. She wished she had a brother to hug and kiss and swing around. After a few minutes, Chu Yang put Chu Shi down and grabbed a large shopping bag from the boat. Chu Shi took one handle, and with Haidai on the other, they struggled to carry the bag back together. Share it, and don't fight, Chu Yang warned. Little Haidai's eyes lit up. Thank you, Chu Yang. Kids aren't dumb. They know who's genuine and who's not. Uncle Qing Jun, thanks for your help today. Chu Yang said, handing Sun Qingjun 2 bills. Sun Qingjun refused at first, but Chu Yang threatened to give the money to his wife if he didn't take it. I'll take enough for gas. If you insist on the rest, don't expect me to drive the boat again. Chu Yang took back 1 bill and didn't argue. When they got home, it was almost dinner time. The family was having braised pork ribs with rice. Chu Yang had picked up the ribs that day. She was a good cook. The ribs were tender and flavorful, the rice was fragrant and chewy, and the rich braising sauce was amazing. All Chu Yang could say was, seconds, that he grabbed the leftover kelp and dug in. After dinner, She cut up a watermelon. It was the sandy kind with lots of juice. Grandpa's son had given it to them, and She had put it in the well to chill. They each grabbed a big slice and sat on the porch, enjoying the cool evening air and the juicy watermelon. After half the watermelon was gone, a head popped up over the courtyard wall. Hi Dai. He Shijuan called. Coming, Mom. Hai Dai answered. Why are you at Xiaoxi's house again? Why aren't you home for dinner? That he Shijuan scolded. I already ate. Xiaoxi made pork ribs and rice. It was delicious. Hai Dai patted her round belly and licked her lips. You little rascal. He Shijuan glared at her, then smiled sheepishly at Chu Yang. Sorry about that. She's just a kid. I'll talk to her. No need. It's just dinner. Hai Dai's a great kid, I like her a lot. If I wasn't afraid you'd say no, I'd adopt her as my little sister. Chu Yang grinned, of course, I'm also afraid it'll be weird later because of the age gap, he thought. Chapter 28. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sun Qingjun jumped into action that night, pulling strings and getting in touch with fishermen, but things weren't looking great. The experienced fishermen were fine with joining the crew in principle, but when they heard it was Chu Yang's boat, with Zhang Hongtao, the greenhorn, aboard, they all said they'd have to think about it. Chu Yang wasn't sweating it. The boat needed another week of work anyway. He just needed to get a crew together before they set sail next week. Late that night, after midnight, Chu Yang couldn't wait to unlock his daily treasure chest. Congratulations. You've won a black iron treasure chest. Location updated. Go claim it. Yes. Chu Yang pumped his fist. Finally, the treasure chest had appeared at the seaside. Wide awake, Chu Yang hopped off the boat, grabbed his gear, strapped on his new headlamp, and headed for the beach. Hey, you heading out to the sea tonight? Chu Shi, just up to use the bathroom, saw him all geared up and looked worried. Even though there were tides, the Weather Bureau's charts showed it was high tide tonight. Being on the beach at high tide was way more dangerous than low tide. It's okay, I won't go in the water. Just walking around the edge. Then I'm coming with you. She stood her ground, fists clenched. Alright, come on then. Chu Yang figured it would be boring alone, so he took Shi along. Even though she was small, she was quick and knew the beach well. She worked hard prying those dog conches off last time. Chu Yang found her a small headlamp and a warm windbreaker, then they set off for the beach. Because it was late and the tide was high, the road was deserted. As they passed Lu Tsuixian's place, they were chased and barked at by the black-striped dog in the yard. Chu Yang bent down, pretending to pick up a rock, and scared the dog so badly it ran yelping, its chain yanking it short. It whimpered and cowered by the wall, tail practically between its legs. Ha! Stupid dog! See if you try to scare me again. She felt relieved. He Yuan Hang often used to sick the dog on her. Chu Yang ruffled her hair. Don't worry, I'll help you make stew out of him someday. Yeah. She nodded eagerly, then, she seemed to remember something and added, add lots of pepper and pickled peppers. I like it spicy. Chu Yang. They left the village and soon arrived at the North Bank mudflats. Where are we going? Seeing that Chu Yang wasn't stopping, Shi asked, looking up at him. Almost there. 10 minutes later, Chu Yang finally reached the refresh point. Just wait here. I gotta pee. Chu Yang made an excuse and asked Shi to wait a short distance away while he went to a reef. Be careful. Chu, she called after him. Chu Yang waved to show he heard. Time to get the treasure chest. Black iron treasure chest opened. Reward, randomly refreshed marine life, common/rare. Capture window, 720 minutes. Chu Yang was stunned. 720 minutes. And the black iron chest had actually spawned rare marine life. He was about to hit the jackpot, but he quickly realized why the system was being so generous. There was a ring of reefs right beneath his feet. The reef sloped inward, creating a natural, trapezoid-shaped pool. He guessed the water surface was about 20 to 30 square meters, over 10 meters at its widest, and maybe 4 or 5 meters at its narrowest. In the murky pool, several glowing orbs were swimming slowly. Oh, man. The system wants me to drain the whole pool, Chu Yang muttered. Are you done peeing yet? You gotta poop, too? Seeing Chu Yang standing on the reef for so long, she yelled against the sea breeze, Chu Yang, sis, you want me dead, just say so. No need to go to all this trouble. Just looking around. The waves are too rough. Nothing to find, Chu Yang said. Then let's go home and sleep. She didn't care. She was kind of expecting it. Only a fool would try to catch fish with tides and waves this bad. Not that she was calling anyone a fool. Chu Yang rolled his eyes. His sister was great, except for her big mouth. Even after getting used to it, it still got to him. No way. I'm already here. I got a feeling something big's in this pool. You wanna pump out the pool? The pump's broken at home, remember? Chu Yang had seen it in the utility room, an agricultural water pump, bought cheap after the predecessor of the Dragon King. It was a century star, but it was old and beyond repair. I'll call around and see if I can borrow one. He got out his phone, hesitated, and then called Sun Qingjun. It was late, and Sun Qingjun wasn't fishing. He was sound asleep with his wife. The phone ringing woke him and he nearly ripped the cord out of the wall. He answered the call, and after hearing Chu Yang's voice, he managed to keep his temper in check. Yang, what's with pumping water in the middle of the night? Couldn't it wait till morning? You saw a big yellow fish in the pool. For real? Chu Yang couldn't say the system had flushed the fish into the pool, so he had to make something up. Sure enough, when he mentioned a big yellow fish, Sun Qingjun perked up, his sleepiness vanishing. Yellow croaker? Yellowtail? Yellowfin? Whatever it was, even the cheapest yellow pomfret went for $10 a pound. Chinese people loved yellow just as much as red. If it was a good-tasting yellow fish, it would be expensive. Okay, I'll be right there. Sun Qingjun hung up, hauled out his pump, maxed out the throttle on his trike, and raced to the beach. What if Chu Yang was lying? Sun Qingjun didn't even consider it. Why would he be? Who would be bored enough to drag him out to the beach in the middle of the night for nothing? Sun Qingjun reached the reef. When he saw the pool, he frowned. That's big. It'll take 4 or 5 hours to pump it dry. And good luck getting it all out. Uncle Qingjun, I really saw it. It's yellow and this big. Chu Yang held his hands apart, showing a fish as long as his arm. Alright, let's get it done. Sun Qingjun was hooked. His eyes turned into the shape of a big yellow croaker, *vroom, vroom, star. The diesel engine roared to life. Is it pumping? Sun Qingjun asked. Yeah, it's pumping, and it's pumping fast. Chapter 29. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As the morning wore on, the puddle visibly shrank. Chu Yang and Sun Qingjun, having nothing better to do, stood around smoking and shooting the breeze. Passed by your uncle's place earlier, saw his window was busted. Knowing the two families weren't exactly friends, he figured this would pique Chu Yang's interest. Seriously? Who did the honors? Chu Yang's voice perked up, the sea breeze suddenly feeling a whole lot nicer. Dunno, happened in the dead of night. Doubt anyone saw anything. Sun Qingjun blew a smoke ring. You know how your uncle's people are. Always rubbing folks the wrong way. Could be anyone, really. Too bad. Chu Yang thought whoever did it deserved a medal. She's probably flipping out. Already started screaming. Bunch of old biddies are glued to the wall at midnight, watching the show. Sun Qingjun chuckled. Chu Yang could picture it perfectly, a beautiful disaster. After half a pack of cigarettes, Chu Yang tapped the empty pack and smacked his lips. Just as he was about to send Chu Shi home for more, Sun Qingjun slapped his leg and stood up. I'll run back, gotta top off the diesel anyway. By the time the second tank of diesel was halfway gone, the sky was starting to lighten. Sun Qingjun had moved the water pump to a new spot, and Chu Shi had dashed home and cooked up some frozen dumplings, bringing them back in a ramen noodle bowl. They all dug in. Suddenly, the water pump started making a whine noise, signaling it was sucking air. Chu Yang grabbed the last 2 dumplings, rolled up his sleeves, and rubbed his hands together with excitement. Let's get to work. Sun Qingjun was unfazed. An old fisherman like him wasn't impressed by pumping out a puddle. He figured Chu Yang was just green, and if he said he saw something amazing, he was probably seeing things, but Sun Qingjun's composure didn't last long. Uncle Qingjun, what kind of fish is this? Chu Yang was holding a brown fish, about the length of 2 hands, with round eyes, a gaping mouth, and a mean look. Holy cow, how did a sea pheasant get in here? Sun Qingjun nearly dropped his ramen, grabbed a plastic bucket, filled it halfway with water, and rushed over. Get it in there quick, don't let it die. He yelled. Seeing his expression, Chu Yang knew this fish was something special, a valuable system-generated sea creature. He quickly dropped it in the bucket and covered it with seaweed. Sea chicken? Never heard of it. Sun Qingjun set the bucket down carefully, then turned to explain. Sea chicken is what we call a red-spotted grouper around here. Meaty fish, tastes kinda like garlic, super fresh, like chicken. That's why we call it that. Seeing Chu Yang's blank look, he added, can't farm these things. They go for big bucks. That one's gotta be worth at least $1,000. Chu Yang got it immediately. Expensive. Good. Gotta get that sister-in-law. Work hard, Tongzi, is this what you really think? Chu Yang kept fishing. With the water almost gone, all the fish were concentrated at the bottom, making the system's light beacon stand out like crazy. It didn't take long for Chu Yang to snag another one. He held it up, grinning. Another sea chicken. And this one was even bigger than the first. Bro, I caught one too, Chu Shi squealed. Black snapper, a huge black snapper. That she knew way more about the local fish than Chu Yang, recognizing the species right away. Sun Qingjun looked over and saw the black sea fish, over a foot long, that Chu Shi was holding with both hands. He was speechless. These two had luck on their side. How did they keep pulling out the top shelf stuff? Black snapper goes by different names around here: melon seeds, vegetable hair. The scientific name is Oplegnathus fasciatus. They're not rare. You see them all the time in the tide pools. The regulars can always catch some. But they're usually small, finger-sized, a few inches long. You'd need 5 to make a decent plate, but the one Chu Shi had was at least 4 pounds. He'd never seen one that big. There was no telling what it would fetch at the market. Chu Yang counted the light orbs and realized there was one less than before. Looks like this big black snapper got a boost from Tongzi too. Nice catch. We'll buy you a Barbie with the money from this one. Chu Yang gave his sister a thumbs up. Chu Shi was even more motivated now, splashing around in the water like a maniac, scaring the fish half to death. She soon pulled out a few more: spotted rock snapper, yellowfin snapper, black snapper. None of them were as valuable as the big black snapper, but they still brought in a good chunk of money. For a regular fisherman, catching one a day was a win. Sun Qingjun was jealous. He worked hard, and he did catch a lot, but it was all worthless stuff, like rock crabs and snails. He only had one decent blue crab, and it was too small to sell for a good price. Soon, his bucket was full. Sun Qingjun put a tarp in the back of the tricycle, turning it into a temporary fish tank. After pouring the seafood in, Sun Qingjun gave the fish oxygen so they wouldn't die and lose their value. Chu Yang kept at it. He'd searched the whole puddle and caught most of the system-generated fish, all that was missing was the rare one. Weird. According to Tongzi's orb, the big fish should be right under Chu Yang's feet, but he hadn't found anything, the water was only a few inches deep. Was it hiding in a crack in the rocks? Not giving up, Chu Yang stomped around a few more times. Suddenly, he felt the ground shake. His feet slipped, and he landed in the water. Then, he saw a giant palm leaf fan rise up and slap down hard. Bang! That the sound of the water echoed. Sun Qingjun was already back by the puddle, yelling in a panic. Danger! Get out of there! Chu Yang was already scrambling for shore. Seafood was great, but his life was more important. After climbing back onto the rocks, Chu Yang caught his breath and looked back at the puddle. At the bottom, a flat giant fish with a white belly, over 13 feet long, a long tail, and a nearly prismatic shape, was thrashing desperately in the water. Devil fish, manta ray. Holy cow, how did a devil fish get in here? Sun Qingjun muttered to himself. Chapter 30. You are listening at novelfull.audio. That's a manta ray. The manta ray, scientifically known as Manta birostris, is a fish that looks like a bat. Their massive size and strange behavior of breaching the water, combined with older tales of them diving under fishing boats and bumping them or dragging anchors, have given rise to many fishermen's legends. But with advancements in technology, scientists have observed that they're just curious and docile creatures. Manta rays are popular online, and marine science experts often feature them. Chu Yang had seen a manta ray video before, but he was too stressed out earlier. Sun Qingjun's reminder jogged his memory. This must be the rare catch Tongzi predicted. Chu Yang looked at Tongzi and confirmed it was the final energy orb. Now, he just had to figure out how to reel it in. The manta ray in front of him had to weigh at least 1,000 pounds. Even if Sun Qingjun got too close, he risked serious injury. Plus, the stinger on its tail with a bayonet tip was a serious threat. How about we use a spear gun and take it out? Sun Qingjun suggested. Chu Yang wasn't thrilled, knowing dead seafood fetched a lower price. Hang on, let me make a call. He pulled out his phone and dialed Bai Pengfei. A manta ray? You found one of those? Bai Pengfei said. At the Red Romantic Bath Center, Bai Pengfei switched to speakerphone. The technician beside him rolled her eyes. Asterisk, here we go again. Star. Asterisk, it's that handsome guy again. Star. Asterisk, what's a manta ray? Does it mean Mr. Bai will ditch me again? Star. But this time, her worries were unfounded. Bai Pengfei wasn't about to rush out. Manta rays were rare, but they weren't worth much, just a few bucks a pound. Even though Xiaozi liked grilling manta rays, they weren't a big hit in China. Most people just ate it for the novelty. Besides, they were enormous and had to be butchered and sold in pieces. Low profits and too much work made Bai Pengfei lose interest. He just asked Chu Yang to send him a photo later to satisfy his curiosity. So, what now? Sun Qingjun asked, having overheard the conversation. Seeing Bai Pengfei's lack of interest, he scratched his head. Was the only option to kill it and sell it as meat? Chu Yang was still hesitant. Then, he remembered the girl he'd met at the harbor restaurant. Maybe she could help. Sun Qingjun thought it was a long shot. If even Bai Pengfei, a seafood dealer, wasn't interested, what could a restaurant in the harbor do with 1,000-pound fish? But Chu Yang was determined, so he kept his doubts to himself. Soon, the call connected. After a couple of rings, a sweet voice answered. Hello. Who is this? It's Chu Yang. Miss Kai, remember me? Chu. Oh, you're the star fisherman, right? Hearing that she remembered him, Chu Yang felt a little smug, but business came first, so he cut to the chase. You said devil fish. You mean a manta ray, right? Hold on a sec, I'll check. Chu Yang thought she'd either say yes or no, but she asked him to wait. Asterisk, okay, I can wait. Beautiful women always get special treatment. Star. About 5 minutes later, Kai Yu called back. Someone's interested in your manta ray. It's still alive, right? Great, send me the address, and we'll head over. Awesome, thanks so much. After hanging up, Chu Yang texted his location to Caillou. She said yes. Sun Qingjun asked. Chu Yang gave him a thumbs up. How much will we make? Sun Qingjun was more interested in the money than the pretty girl. Enough, Chu Yang answered vaguely. After staying up all night, he'd been fishing for over an hour. He hadn't noticed it earlier, but now that he was relaxing, he was exhausted. With a cigarette in hand, Chu Yang leaned against the reef and drifted off to sleep. A sudden, sharp pain in his fingers jolted him awake. Damn it! Chu Yang threw the cigarette and cursed. He'd seen people try to smoke backwards before, but he never thought it would happen to him. The burn had startled him awake. Seeing Chu, she huddled to the side. He took off his warm jacket and covered her, then stood on the reef, taking deep breaths of the ocean air. It was already dawn. The sun had just risen over the horizon, reflecting off the sparkling blue sea. A silver-white yacht cut through the water, leaving a trail of white foam. At the bow, a girl in a flowing dress scanned the beach with binoculars. Seeing Chu Yang standing on the reef, her cheeks flushed. Yo-yo, can you see the young man I told you about? I see him, Uncle Zheng. Head over there. Caillou lowered the binoculars and pointed toward the reef. Chu Yang saw the yacht approaching and guessed it was his ride. Soon, the yacht pulled up to the sandbar. The reefs and algae made getting closer dangerous. Chu Yang asked Sun Qingjun to watch the fish while he walked toward the yacht. He saw a strong, middle-aged man getting off the boat, followed by an older and younger man. Last off the boat was the girl with the long skirt and dark hair. Miss Kai, good to see you again, Chu Yang greeted her. Mr. Chu. Caillou smiled, revealing dimples. Let me introduce you. This is Professor Zhu Ming from the Oceanography Department at Huaqiao University. Chu Yang was surprised to find out his customer was a professor. He quickly shook the professor's hand and said, "It's an honor to meet you, Professor Zhu." Zhu Ming wasn't stuffy at all. He smiled and shook Chu Yang's hand. Likewise, Mr. Chu. I'm doing research on marine organisms, specifically manta rays. I've been looking for samples everywhere. I heard you caught a live one, so I rushed over to see it. Where is it? Is it still alive? Zhu Ming asked. Chu Yang nodded. Still in the pit. Follow me.